Hey, everybody. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
It is another beautiful Friday. We've been getting rain all day long, which is pretty cool. We'll definitely take the rain, but I don't like the mud monster that comes with it. I had a buddy of mine today ask me if he could come up and help on Sunday work on the community building. And I said, yeah, as long as, the mud monster don't attack. Because I want to tell you guys, something that Kansas does really well is mud. It's just the worst kind of mud. It's just sticky. And anyway, let's get some hellos in, huh? Let's see here. Helen was first one in. Good evening to you. Starlet Oak, how are you? Gaines Girl, long time no talk. Terminator, happy Friday. Happy Freedom Friday to you as well. The Instigator is in, says late lunch and supper. 1 yellow onion, 1 orange bell pepper, 2 eggs, butter, and Tony, what's that word?
Oh,
Chaudry's, and a cast iron skillet. I like that. Jean Menke, good evening to you. Camber Smith is in the house. Good to see you. Let's see here. Jane, welcome in. City Greens, welcome in. Carrie Davis is trying to be grateful for all this rain. And Carrie, I agree with you 100%. Boy, do we need it, huh? No live is complete without a
Pack Rat.
Pack Rat. How are you? Good to see you. One step closer. How are you, my friend? Tina Conkle, welcome in. Parrot-eyed Stanley, how are you? Should be Parrot-eyed Stanley, like IT or something. We need to add to that one. Mary Michelle, welcome in. The greatest name on the internet.
Bubble Off Club.
Good to see you. My buddy Squatchy's in the house. Squatchy. Let's see here. Life with Mike and Jen. Oh, my goodness.
Good evening.
We are blessed. Starla Doak, already said hello to Starla. David Strom, welcome in. Matt, how are you, bud? Let's see here. Neatos, how are you? How is all of the trouble in Nevada going? Let's see here. I got that. Beth Emily, happy Friday to you. Stanley says, nah, it's good the way it is. Can't welcome in. Good to see you. I think I got them all for now. I will continue to add them as we go along, right? Boy, is there a lot going on, huh? Does anybody find all the uncertainty interesting? Somebody said, not somebody, the lady, the head of the European Union said, there's no order in our disorder. I thought that was a pretty interesting way of saying that.
No order in our disorder.
Yeah. There's no order in the disorder. And Carrie says, B, your hair is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty cool. Anyway.
I brushed it.
See, it's a new beginning for so many people, including B, right? She actually brushed her hair for a live. How neat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Is there a reason? Are you like all pep in your step today?
I was just hoping that you would,
that I would notice?
Look my way.
How lucky am I, huh, guys? We can't forget Silver Lining. Silver Lining, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. All right, B, what you got on your list? Let's start on your top.
You probably don't want me to say anything about that because you said you had a picture for that. Picture.
Yep. You sent me the pictures.
Don't say anything about the picture stuff. So
she sent them to me.
I know, but it was.
It was what? Let's talk this out. It was what?
It was on my list. So I have to wait until it gets brought up. So if I got to remember that when I write my stuff down to put that stuff at the end, maybe, and then draw a line and then not have to separate it.
Okay. So for all future lives, if you've sent me
get more organized.
No, if you've sent me a picture, I've added it to the
Not always you do that though.
Most always, except when you send it to me 5 minutes before we go live.
Anyway, so, well, we've got Joel coming and we have been working on, just getting stuff ready, painting and building stuff, gluing stuff. We are working on a food plan because when he's here, he probably wants to eat. Well, even if he doesn't, we still want to eat. And we're not sure what that's going to look like, but we've got 5 girls working on it. We've got Tiff and Cindy and Yoda from Grumpy Acres and Jess and Ambers. All of the Ambers are working on it.
All of them.
Mm-hmm. We have like 25 Ambers. They're all working on it. We're like, okay, if your name is Amber, you're working on the Joel's food. So it's a party, but we're gonna We're gonna work on food. And we will eat because we like to eat. I like hanging out and breaking bread with friends. So I haven't had Brussels sprouts in a long time. I don't know why that just popped into my head because Yoda makes some good Brussels sprouts, and then it was like boom, that's where that went. Anyway, sorry guys. But if you get a chance to taste her Brussels sprouts, they're pretty good. I'm not saying she's making them for the party. Anyway.
Hey, real quick, pause your thought. Welcome in, Pippinized. How are you? Good to see you, Redneck. Good to see you. My buddy Mo Engineer's in the house. I think I'm caught up. Okay, go ahead. Oh, wait, real quick. One second. Congratulations. I read it up here where I'm at, right there. Skins Girl says they got good news this evening. Her compact license got approved. Congratulations. Okay, go ahead.
Congratulations. Does that mean we'll see you sooner? No.
I could comment, but I just won't.
Okay.
Hey, Leela, welcome in. Sharpshooter, what's up, buddy?
Okay. Something else really cool. We get to work on a baby shower. Lou and I are going to work on a baby shower.
Very
for
cool.
one of our friends.
Yep.
Everybody loves babies. They're so cute.
This is part of why the Ambers are 27.
They're so tiny.
The community was blessed with a new baby girl. So all of the
and we're all loving her.
Yeah, and all the ladies get to dote.
Yes, so we want to get together and just help bless them out. Bless them out. Help bless them out. No, help them out. Bless them.
Starla wants to know if, B, will you be at the Seed Exchange community deal on the 26th? Yes.
Yep. Of course.
Oh my goodness, you guys, check this out. We have royalty in the house. We do. We have Jeff, Gypsy, Hefty, Lefty, Amazon, Mud Dauber, Slick has joined us this evening.
Thank you. It's a blessing. We're glad that you're here. Reading?
Yeah, so the Sharpshooter says they need to be cute. It helps with the sleeplessness. Yeah.
They're so adorable.
Yeah.
But yes, I do understand the sleeplessness.
Yes. Yeah.
Every 2 hours or so, they want to eat and then changed and held. But they're only so little for just such a tiny time. Enjoy it, guys. Something else we found out, one of our previous house that we lived at, one of our neighbors had passed on.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of sucks, I guess. I was just gonna say, you never know when somebody's here, they won't be, and just love your loved ones.
Love hard.
Yeah. Let's just not forget about that. Let's forgive easy and show grace and love each other. And what else? That's it. Sounds good. Something else.
Leela says our grandbaby is a month and a half old and she's already changing so much. Oh yeah, grandkids are awesome.
And they do. They grow up so fast. It's just a flash. And I think the older you get, the faster it goes. You're like, wow, that was they were just a baby and they're like 10. And then it's like, oh, they're 10. And then they're like 20. And then they're like married. And whew. I remember the first one driving out of the driveway and you were just like, oh man, I'm nervous. Gotta go have a cigarette. I'm like, he isn't even out of the driveway. And he's like, I know, you just don't understand. You just don't understand. Just don't understand. He'll be fine. And I think it was the first month he got it. No, that was June, July. That first winter, he banged up his car pretty good.
Yeah.
But he had to learn somehow.
Yeah. And this kid, so you know, is 31 now. But,
and works as an insurance agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So did I say the stove is being delivered tomorrow? The community building is getting a stove tomorrow. We have purchased it, I don't know, last summer and had set out in the yard. We took it to the plumber came and got it and he fixed it. It's a double oven and then it has a griddle and then it has, I think, 6 burners. Mm-hmm. and the littler oven did not work, and a couple of the burners did not work. And I think he has gotten it all working and replaced a bunch of the orifices and took the mud dauber nest out of the back of it. It was a paper wasp. It was a pretty big paper wasp. He got that out of there. I'm hoping he cleaned it. If not, we will clean it.
You'll be busy. Hey, real quick, Conserve friends, welcome in. My friend LJC is in the house. How are you? And Lisa, good to see you. Terminator, by the way, says she has 10 grandchildren. Oh my goodness.
You have been blessed and blessed and blessed and
Let's
blessed.
see here, make sure I miss. Oh, Aljo. Can't forget Aljo. More importantly, Barbara, but Aljo too. Welcome in. Go ahead.
Okay, cross that one off. Oh, something else. We had a very unnecessary surprise. I had left to go run and do something. I came right back. It was in the morning, and we had 5 of the neighbors' dogs inside of our perimeter fence. So our dogs were actively in a fight with at least one of them when I saw them. I got pulled in the driveway, locked the gate because I didn't want my dogs outside, drove around to the house, got him. He got on the 4-wheeler. I got in. I grabbed my pew, and because I did not want to be involved in I did not want to get myself into a situation where I was fighting for my life. And so just in case I needed it, I didn't want to just, So I grabbed that. I got on the Kubota and drove around the opposite way. We were able to because those dogs were in our property, my dogs would not come to me. They were on those dogs. And no matter, I was calling them, I didn't want to go too close into it in case I didn't want to get involved in it myself. So when he came around the backside, he was able to, one of them, he called and it came to him, and he picked her up and put her in the Kubota. I shut her in. We got the other dog, and she was pretty skittish too. She didn't want to come to you either.
No, but they knew they were in trouble. They weren't, I was hollering.
You think they thought they were in trouble?
I was hollering.
I thought that they were thinking that they were defending.
Mm-hmm.
They were defending their property. You think that they were you think they thought they were in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't
if you guys can imagine 7 livestock guardian dogs in a dust bowl. But
he got the other one and picked her up and put her inside the Kubota, and I got inside the Kubota and drove them to the house. And then he opened the field gate and then drove the 4-wheeler back and around the opposite way to try to flush them through the woods out of the pond area and hopefully towards that paddock that had the gate to go towards their house. And then he chased them across the field or across the road and back to the property that they belonged on. And he said that at least one of them jumped over the fence that they came out of.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you keep a dog in if it's going to jump over the damn fence. That's ridiculous. So I thought that they were coming under the fence right there at that area, which they might have been, but
I was actually proud of the dogs. At the end of the day, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. The 2 of them took on the 5.
And they had
that's what it was,
One of them has a pretty good wound on the inside of her leg that's actively bleeding now. And I can't keep the other dog from licking it, of course.
That poor dog's been through it, man.
She sure has. She's the one that got shot. And then I was giving her the cow antibiotic from the vet, and it was something that her body didn't like, and she got hot spots down her back, which the wound from her surgery actually is pretty good. There's a tiny little, about the size of a pea, that's open, but the thing on her back, the other dog that's how they wrestle. They come up to each other and grab each other by that neck area, which is where her hot spot is, because that's where I gave her injection. And it keeps getting torn open. So I have a jacket. I have what do you call that? It's like a harness.
A dog coat. Yeah.
It's not a
Well, it's
coat.
a harness, but it's got that.
It's like a harness that I put over her. A girl with dog was like, "You've got to cover this. You've got to cover this. This is actively being reopened because girl with dog is here still." And I'm not complaining. She's coming super handy in a lot of ways. So she's like, "Here, go get whatever you got, and I will help." And so I'm like, "I've got this shirt, I've got this, or I've got this." And she's like, "Well, why don't we just try this? It's like meant for a dog." And so she put it on there and she was like, "Dude, it totally covers." You have to kind of pull it up a little bit on her neckish area, but it really does cover that hot spot so that the other dog is not like chewing on it. That is so gross.
Hey, by the way, welcome in Cheryl and SG. Good to see you. Go ahead. And yeah, Instigator, it is a canine straitjacket, basically. But those dogs. But anyway, I'm proud of them. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. They were not scared of them other 5. They barreled right into them. And
They were fighting like bad fighting,
yeah.
like bad fighting. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, no, how are they gonna, 5-on-2?" And I put up a fence to stop this. And I can't stop this if they're gonna jump the fence. Like, I don't.
Taller fence. Oh, that's a good idea. Her friend said I saw a YouTuber who put a man's t-shirt on their dog to protect a healing wound.
Yeah, because it's like up higher, it just folds down. It goes down.
Yeah, it's up where her head meets her neck, basically. Luis Wesley, welcome in. And my Indiana Mike, ahoy, good to you. Good to see you. And Luis is 100% right. She said, good girls defending their homestead. Yep, that's what I'm saying. I'm proud of them. Because again, they were not intimidated by 5-on-2.
No.
Not in the least. They were, let's get this show on the road. And in the end.
But now we have a new wound.
Yeah, I know.
All the same dog.
Yeah, but that's why we have them, babe. And at the end of the day, you know what? The other dogs didn't want much of it. Most of them ran off really quick.
Yeah.
There was a couple I had to chase down, but even them were super timid and they had blood on them too. And so.
Did they?
I did. So maybe they won't come back, I don't know.
I hate that.
It's just life. It's just life. And you know what? We got them to defend this property, and I hope they die in defense of this property. Not for many years.
I know, yeah.
Not for many years.
They could just, pass this old age.
This is something I don't know that girls will ever understand. I would much rather go out
young?
Not necessarily young, but go out in a manner that wasn't laying in a bed somewhere, in
a diaper. Everybody's in a diaper.
I understand.
Not everybody's an invalid.
What I'm saying is the dogs would rather go out doing what they served than any other way. And I don't know, maybe I'm weird.
That's a guy thing?
Yeah, Mo, I do know the owner. It's the guy directly across the street from me. And you know the owner too.
You know the owner?
Right. That's right. Hippocrates is right. Dogs are more like Vikings, glorious Valhalla. Yes, this is my point.
I did not like seeing that.
Going out in a fight is the Viking way, right? See, somebody gets it. Yes, they are.
They're dogs.
I'd rather go out in my sleep, not kicking and screaming in terror like my grandpa's passengers. Hey, Alabama, how are you? Says, would a cable and PVC rollers work on the top? It might keep them from being able to get the balance needed to get over the fence. Might. I was actually thinking of maybe going out and putting a couple rows of barbed wire on top of it too. There you go, Carrie. Carrie Davis says Thelma and Louise come to mind. That's what we should have named them. Thelma and Louise. Right? Yeah. B says, B, you're going to have a time keeping tag on the porch and out of the fray. Never happen. I'm not wired like that. Hippocrates says warriors don't fight for the fight. They fight for those behind them they protect. Exactly right. And I would pray that those animals get a chance to give their life for the people they love the most, which is the ultimate gift. Sorry, babe. Sorry. She'll never agree with me, so you guys know.
No.
Yeah. Hey, Alabama says LGDs don't mind unless they feel like it. Right. Hey, Dave and Sonia, Michigan. How are you? Good to see you. Says they're doing what they're supposed to do. Unfortunately, the mama heart doesn't like to see them injured. Of course not.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to be in pain, and I want them to have a great life, and I don't want them to go anywhere anytime soon. I'm just saying, what an honorable thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the ultimate gift. You couldn't create
I'd
it.
just rather her stay around forever.
I know.
Forever and ever and ever.
I know. Leela says, I'm with you, Tag. I'm from Texas. I grew up hearing about the Alamo. Blaze of glory all the way. Yes. Yes, Leela. Yeah, Skins Girl says, I plan to electrify barbed wire on top of my fence. Yeah. Hey, Alabama says, I don't want to see them hurt or a vet bill. Yeah, I don't want either one of them either, but you guys remember Panzer, my old dog, my old boxer that was here? You know, he disappeared. He went out exactly like he came in this world, you know? I mean, he was a little puppy. I caught him with an owl cornered in the corner of a yard.
Oh, I remember that.
Remember that? I mean, that guy, I have never met a dog that could outrun a full grown rabbit. I mean, literally could turn with them, lateral speed. He killed so many creatures in his life, and he eventually met one bigger than him.
Unfortunately, you have to do the neighbor's cats a lot.
Yeah. You know, it is what it is, right? Luis says an LGD will sacrifice their life to protect their people and their livestock. Yep.
And Rose will get in between the geese. Like if the geese are sitting there honking at me and putting their head down, which I don't mind because I know that they're not going to do anything, but Rose will come right up in front of me and put her body in between us to stop it.
Yep. Yeah. Mo says, my dog put a bunny in Valhalla today. That's a dog's life, right? How wonderful. Yeah. Life Micah Jen says, totally agree, Tag. They're fantastic girls. They are. I want to go on my sleep and not riding with one step closer to grandpa.
Yeah. With one step. That was funny.
Yeah. A la General Anthony Clement, who responded to a request to surrender with nuts. Remember that in World War II? I think it was the Battle of the Bulge, and they were completely surrounded, and the Germans offered them a surrender. Said you need to surrender, and that general wrote back one word, which was nuts.
Nuts.
And they ended up, you know the rest of the story. So, yeah, let's see here. Mine would round up goats and put them in the shed, stand in the doorway while the other would go to the threat. We did away with the threat and said nothing. Yep, that's how it's done too, right? See here, hey, Farm Ranch Homestead, good to see you. It says, hi, gang. Good to see everybody, and thanks to Life Done Free for all you do. Thanks for being here. Yeah, BB protected me from another dog the other day. She's a black and tan hunting dog.
BB.
See, I'm training little Terminator to protect. Yep. I think that's what their mission is, and I think we should celebrate it. I think it's a wonderful thing. Go ahead. What else on your list?
I
didn't want to derail you.
It was just not something I expected after getting all of the fencing up. I just expected, and to have 5, not 1, right? Not 2, 3. I mean, 5.
Yeah.
5 stranger dogs.
Yeah. I think the problem is we built our fence to keep in our 140-pound livestock guardian dogs.
And the gate, I think that what happened was the gate was just popped open just enough to allow a thinner dog in.
Yeah. Yeah. And these were all livestock guardian dogs, but they were small.
Our dogs too, like I think they know their perimeter. Although if I open the gate, they will bolt out over to that fence where those dogs are.
Skanesville, our fence is 4 feet tall. And I still got room to run a couple runs of barbed wire if I choose to do so, but our dogs haven't gotten out yet, but the other dogs got in. But I think there's another mission to all this, another story to this, is that, when you homestead and you live this life, and I know many of you on this live tonight can attest to this because you guys live it too, but there's a lot that don't go according to plan.
No kidding.
I mean, just like that, me and B, you guys know, you lived it through the lives with us as we were racing to get this fence put up because of, her being shot and because of all of these things. And man, it's a good fence. It's tight, it's straight, but it just doesn't always go according to plan. And so, sometimes we've got to choose our attitude, right? Because I can't change the fact that the 5 dogs got in there, but I can let it ruin my day or I cannot, right? You can let it ruin your day or you cannot.
No, but I was so grateful that you were able to stop your meeting and come and help me because I don't know how I would have gotten that to work, especially since they were not coming to me. Like they were avoiding me absolutely going
Oh, yeah,
around me to where, and then if the dogs were going around this way, they would again go around me to go over to.
They were doing their job, right? And you can't fault them for that. But I think what I'm trying to say though to all this, babe, is that this is true whether you're, you know, off grid and water, you're going to have water problems, or off grid and power, you're going to have power problems, or, you know, whatever it is, you're going to have deer that eat your fruit tree.
Right.
You're going to have plants that don't come up.
Yeah.
And you're going to have 5 livestock guardian dogs eating your perimeter and get in a fight with your livestock guardian dogs. And that's just the way it is.
Don't get distracted.
Yeah. Right.
Just keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah. Because these things just happen. They happen to every one of us. And, you know, so I've often said this, I don't know if it's true or not, but that maybe the testament to how good a homesteader you are has nothing to do with what you grow, but how well you bounce from obstacle to obstacle. How well you overcome obstacle to obstacle, because boy, there's a ton of them. Right?
And they're all different.
Yeah.
You know, some of them you can kind of plan around, and some of them they get blindsided, and you're just like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah.
I thought that was fine.
Yeah, and Bee's not real good at that. She's really good at getting in a panic. And, you know, going, help me, you know. And, you know, I wasn't there when they got in their big old fight because it took me a minute to get there on the 4-wheeler. But I'm telling you, had I been there and they'd have been in the middle of the fight, I'd have drove the 4-wheeler right in the middle of that fight.
Yeah, well,
they got out of my way, I promise you.
When I saw them fighting, I was in the Jeep.
Yeah, I probably would have drove the Jeep.
Driving, you know, I was driving down the fence line, and I'm like, oh no, that's inside though. And then I'm like, oh no, they're gonna see each other. And then as I was driving, and our dog was chasing my going alongside me, she saw them, and I went,
it's all.
And then it started, and I'm like, no.
Babe, this
stop.
isn't going to stop anything.
Yeah, well, I went
literally nothing.
I went to the house. I went to the house to get you.
Hey, Alabama says we built our fence for cows and horses, even though it was for goats and they never got out. That's a great lesson too, which is overbuild, right? Build to the next size up. I think that's great advice. Yeah, but this, just so you know, ain't gonna do anything, right? You know, the other thing you could have done.
I called you.
I know, but the other thing you could have done is just taken your pistol out and just shot around right in the ground. That usually they'll disperse.
Well, especially our dog, because now when she hears gunshots, she bolts to the house.
Oh yeah, she didn't have a good experience with the last one.
She hightails it right back to the house onto the back deck. Yeah. She's like, oh no.
Hey, Jesus, welcome in. All right, go ahead. I didn't mean to derail you.
That's fine. Oh, so we are working towards getting the community building up, and one of the things on his list was decorations for the community building. And we were talking about how to do logos. How can we do like a permanent logo that we can like put up on the wall, like either, what is that, routering it out or burning it in, or people's logos. I think that would be pretty cool. So I'm working on. Have
you had any conversation with the person who actually does the work?
No, well, you said that you were thinking of routering them into wood at first. And so I said we were thinking of doing routering.
But I don't have time to do that. So you're going to have to get. We have a young man in our community who's got a laser engraver for wood. And she's been talking about seeing if he would be willing to do it. You're going to have to go down that route because I won't have.
You don't have any time to do routering.
Not to do a whole bunch of logos, babe. Those take a long time. No, yeah.
You're so creative, though. Get everybody's logo. Take a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, the people who have contributed or have helped donate time or energy. Or money or materials, because there was a person who had at one point in time sent electrical boxes. So was somebody at one point in time who had sent gift cards, or lots of people who have sent gift cards. And we wanted to honor them. We wanted to thank them and show our appreciation by displaying it somehow on the community wall. And so we thought, taking pictures and putting those up, or doing like a signature wall, or doing the logos. we're not sure what we're going to do yet, but we were trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we may not get that far before everything happens, so we must just have to do it later on in the year. But
no, but if anybody has any ideas of how to get logos onto walls,
yeah, one step closer says go with the laser engraving. Yeah, if we can get him to do it. But
yeah,
we'll just have to see kind of how that goes.
right. What else? Oh, our local community
Who's that?
cafe we always went to and had our little
Get
gatherings.
Mhm.
They would open up after hours so that we could have a meal, and they would cook a buffet type of meal, or I think some people actually ordered from the menu, but they are actually closing their doors for the restaurant, and they're going to move on to different things, new adventures. We wish them well. We're going to miss them tremendously.
But I'm hoping this is an opportunity that they'll get freed up a little bit more, and they'll hang out with the community more often.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
now if we got the stove at the community building, we've got 1,000,000 eggs. We've got a
Right.
few people with pigs that we can get some sausage or some whatever from, and do up some breakfast on our own community building then.
Yeah, I'm sure there's many people in this live tonight that have an overabundance of eggs. Yeah.
And some wish that they did.
Yeah. Pockety says automotive wrap, get what you want printed and apply it. Let's see here. Or if there is a talented teen or kid in the area, commission them. Yeah, that's the one we're working on. What B's working on right now. I'm not working on it, nor am I going to work on it. None of those kind of things. Oh.
Well, I need logos first. So if you are a contributor, give us your logo.
Yeah. Or tell us how you want it to be said, you know.
Oh, I guess some people, yeah, if you don't want a logo, you could just have names, I suppose.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Or a picture.
I prefer not a picture.
You don't want pictures?
And that's hard to put engraved into a piece of wood.
No, I mean, like if they sent a picture.
Oh, that'd be
put
okay.
a picture.
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Like send us your wedding picture.
Your teenage picture. And then people be guessing the whole time who it is.
That's why I said wedding picture.
Hey, Jane, welcome in. Go ahead.
Oh, here's something. I don't know if I told you. Your mom called me and asked me if I could get her some malt extract. And I was like, what is that? And she goes, it's like, like vanilla extract. And I was like, I'll look for it. What are you making, like malts? And she goes, no, I'm making bagels. And I said, you need malt extract to make bagels? And she said, yep, my recipe calls for it. And I said, can we find a recipe that doesn't call for it? And she goes, no, this is in my book. This book is the one I've been using for over 20 years. And this is what's in my book. And I'm like, I probably can find you a bagel recipe that doesn't call for it. Anyway, went to Walmart and I could not find it. It is not in the vanilla extract aisle. I had to actually call Yoda and ask. I didn't call her. I sent her a text and said, what is this?
Yeah, Mo says you find it at home brew store.
She said it's a barley.
Yeah.
And I'm like.
Hey, Betsy De La Rosa, welcome in. Hey, by the way, Jen says she has a sign maker in her pocket.
Woo!
Remember? You have one right over there. Yeah.
For logos.
I can't wait to figure out or to see what you guys come up with. I want nothing to do with it.
Jen.
Hey, Brett Boyd, welcome in.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Brett says, hey, guys, spring has sprung down here. All the tree berries are making fruit. Time to plant in the raised beds. Amen. It's not quite that time here yet. We got stuff popping out of the ground, but it's still, tomorrow night's going to be low at 28. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pretty cold. I think the high is only in the 40s.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be getting 36-mile-an-hour winds.
And then next week's in the 70s all week.
And full sun.
Yeah.
That's ironing, laundry. I've got a whole list of stuff I'm going to get done, like electricity wise. I'm going to burn it up. I'm going to use up as much of electricity as I can. Can't wait. I'm going to put my massager on while I'm ironing. I'm going to be like 1,750 watts right here. Yeah. I can't wait because it's been like cloudy for several days. So not that I'm like.
Feels like a t-shirt.
Not that I'm like minimizing it or anything. Like right now, we could possibly turn on the light. It's getting dark, but yeah, I like full sun days because I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about any electricity over electricity usages.
She's a dork.
Hey, you are constantly saying you don't. What do you say? You don't not test. You don't push the system hard enough.
You don't.
And I'm going. I want electricity all night long. And he's like, what does that have to do with anything? You're going to fill the batteries by the end of the day. And I'm like, this morning I was bringing in, what was it, between 3 and 6 amps. Bringing in between 3 and 6 amps. And he's like, it's still early. I'm like,
okay, what do you bet?
3 to 6 amps, buddy. That's not a lot.
What do you bet the batteries are full?
I'm sure they are.
Okay.
Because the sun did end up kind of popping out.
All the rest of your story there's jump, blah, 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 blah.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, Brett says the ground temps there are staying in the 70s. Lovely. He wrapped all of our trucks and does the signs for the national parks and large homestead channel, too. He asked me if I knew them when they contacted him. Oh, super cool. Yeah, B will be very excited to work with you, Jen, on this project. Jesus says, do you use a microwave for anything? Wondering how it is with solar.
I have a microwave, and I've used it like once or twice when we first got here. I actually have 2 microwaves. I have a pretty big one that I have never used here, and then I have a little one that his mom got me when we got here because she was like, you need a smaller one. And it uses like 450 watts, but I really don't use it ever. In the wintertime, the wood stove is going all the time. So I just pop it in the oven there or on top of the stove.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that because it's already hot.
And in the summer, you use a lot of the Instapots, the barbecue, those kinds of things.
In the summertime, I use the grill. I use the Camp Chef toaster oven. I use my microwave to store things. I actually did have some stuff in the microwave at one point in time. It's a good place to hide stuff.
I guess.
Especially if you're not going to use it. But no, we don't usually heat stuff up.
Yeah. But the microwave, a properly sized solar system will run a microwave, no problem.
Yeah. I mean, we run our air conditioners.
Yeah. I mean, it's not an
like
issue.
Multiple head units at a time.
Yeah.
So it's, especially when the full sun is out.
Yeah. Lisa said, I got rid of the microwave. It was bad juju.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
Yeah.
I understand. Something else, I thought that I was done with taxes, and then I was sitting there thinking, oh, I'm done with taxes. And I showed him one of the things, and he's like, oh no, you got to remove the solar from, I just lumped the solar system into the community building cost. And he was like, no, you can't do that because the solar system has to be separate, which I didn't know that. So I did separate that. And then when I got that all back out, I was like, wait a minute, there was some solar thing that was on Amazon. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even look through my Amazon. There's a whole crap ton of stuff on there. And so I had to go back through the Amazon stuff and do all of the deductions that way, and PayPal too, because some of the stuff was not Amazon. But I think I am, again.
Gypsy says they use their microwave a lot. Yeah, and Gypsy's a really good one to ask too. They've been living off grid for many, many years. And so, they're the, specifically when we talk about, well, her cows, but for me, living off grid, they're
the OGs.
The OGs. They're good ones to pick up the phone and call and say,
help. How do you do this?
Yeah.
What's this look like?
Let's see here. Thanks. Thank you for the microwave info. I didn't have one for years, but hubby says we have to have one. They're nice and convenient for a lot of things.
You can use a toaster oven for almost the same thing.
David says, do you ever get an extension on taxes? Yeah, almost every year. But
Almost.
but
Not usually because of us.
but
though.
not usually because of us. Yeah, usually it's the
I
accountant
have
going,
my stuff there.
I can't get to it all, and I don't care, whatever.
One other last thing. Tag got out of jury duty so far. He's, two cases have settled. He still has 2 pending. So he may still end up with jury duty.
Yeah.
He is not out for the month of April.
No. And I will go, and it's my duty, but they will never have me serve.
They will never have me serve as jury duty. Why?
They will never have me serve.
Why?
Because when they ask me,
they'll ask particular questions.
Yeah. If they ask me the same questions they asked you, they will never have me serve. I promise you. Tina says, if you have 20 chickens and 1 rabbit, can you claim the feed on taxes if the 20 chickens and the 1 rabbit are for business purposes?
Right.
So if you're raising the chickens to sell eggs, then the answer is yes, you can write off the feed against the income that you sold the eggs from. And with the rabbit, kind of the same thing. So if you're using it for income, then the answer is yes. I like our small air fryer for reheating most things. Yeah, we do a lot of that. Brett says, I'm looking at solar versus batteries, solar with batteries versus a generator for diesel. I would pick solar 100 times out of 100 times. I think having a backup diesel generator is critical too, but I would put solar in first if it was me. Skane's girl says she's going to get rid of all of her appliances except for crock pots. Yeah, guys, I'm going to tell you, living off grid, we do it every single day. We have everything any other house does. I have air conditioning, I have refrigerators, I have, everything works fine. And actually she could get more out of it than she gets out of it because she's an energy Nazi. You going to make it? Did you swallow wrong? You going to take a drink? I have this effect on most ladies. Here. Yeah. If you guys can hear me over the hacking over going around. That make it better? No. Jen says dog food too, security guard, 100%. But you have to have a business. It has to be for profit, right? Solar has come a long way in the last 10, 20 years. Yes, it has. Prices have come down quite a bit over the last 5 or 6 years. Farm Ranch Homestead says, tag, I've never been on a jury. I've always been bumped during junior selection. Yeah, they'll never have me. Yep. Squatchy says, why is B hacking? Can she not hack? Can you not hack it? He didn't really say that. Skane's girl says, no, it doesn't, tag. I hate it when I get choked on basically nothing. Tag, did you see the Deporter in Chief doing EMP commercials? I didn't. Trump was doing EMP commercials? I did. I haven't seen it. When was this? I would like to see it.
Maybe he meant Homan.
Homan? Oh, yeah. And I know Homan does them. Let's see here. Silver Lining says, tell her to raise her left arm. You guys should see her over there. It's totally ridiculous. Hop on one leg. Oh, Holman. Yeah. Yeah. I have seen Holman do a lot of those, actually. Let's see here. Lisa says, I haven't tried it, but I heard that if you have 2 identical plants, water one with regular water and the other with equal amounts of water that has been microwaved, then cooled. Hey, Stan Guthrie, welcome in. You gonna make it over there, Punk?
Yep.
Okay, she's almost back. I like how she just got up and ran out. Yeah. Oh, Skanesville says radiation you're talking about from the microwaved water. Yeah, that would be interesting. Let's see. Second plant dies, says Lisa, that if you microwave the water and then cool it down and water a plant, the plant will die.
Oh, because of dead water.
But yet then we do it to our food.
Oh, because of the radiation.
That'd be interesting. I may research that at some point. Yeah, JB says Microwaves radiate your food, not good for you. And Brett says, Yag, tour, and asses. Yeah, Yag, tour, and ass. You know what he's saying, right? He's saying, tag, you're an ass. You know,
I like that.
Brett, I could sit here and tell you that no one has ever called me that my whole life, but I would be lying. So, yeah, I actually get called that
often,
pretty regularly, actually. Brett says, show her in a bad moment. I let her get settled down first, right? I mean, I could have turned it over there during the I Can't Hack festival, right? But I didn't. So, anyway, what else you got, Punk? You're just on a roll.
That's it.
Make it.
Yeah.
This is love. 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 You already have one?
I do.
That's marriage. This was love. She already took one. It's marriage. You don't think it's funny? I think it's hilarious. Yeah, Jen said that it radiates you as well if you're close enough.
Yeah.
All right, so you mean you're through all your stuff?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah, because you have pictures.
Okay, you want to get some pictures? Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. So some reminders what's coming up. April 26th, we're going to have potluck and dinner. They're going to do some herb seed starting, brooder comparisons, spring plant swap, barter town.
And I'm going to take my brooder, right?
You're going to take your brooder down there, yep. And
with birds in it.
Yep. Bee's got some stuff she's working on for the barter time that she can get rid of and stuff she's got growing out there, which is pretty exciting, right?
Yeah. That's the 26th. Yep.
Yeah. Brett said that's almost as bad as farting under the covers and slow rolling it. Oh, I can tell stories.
You and me both.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Good save.
Yeah.
12 days later on May the 8th, Joe Salatin will be here. We're really excited about that. I've got some big announcements for this, but I'm just not ready to quite announce it yet because I'm waiting on some, details to make sure that I announce it. And, I don't want to get ahead of myself and then something not work out. So we're working on some big stuff that will be a first for Joel, will be a first for us. And I think really we'll do a lot towards our ultimate goal of being sustainable, but perpetually, like forever. And so
like forever.
Yeah, I'll fill you guys in here in a little bit. Hopefully I'll know by this next live, I'll have all the answers where I can share with you guys, but I'm excited about this.
Me too.
The next day on the 9th and the 10th, Joel will be at the Midwest Preparedness Project. They also have William Bond, Billy Bond's son there, Bear Independent, My Honey's Kitchen. I know Kelly and Jesse are going to give a talk there too. What's Kelly and Jesse talking about? Cultivating harmony on the homestead, our first year. So they're going to be talking about, their first year homesteading. So that will also all be going on. Followed up after that, July the 5th, we're going to do the Freedom Festival here at the community building. And we're going to have live music. We have professional fireworks coming. There'll be much more to come when we figure out what we're going to eat and how it's all going to work. But
we're not sure.
We're still working on it. So that's pretty much what we have coming. Real quick here. Let's see here. Hey, Alabama says, what's a good incubator? You know what's crazy is Bee's got 1, 2, 3. You got 4, right?
Yeah. 1
small one, 2 mediums, and a big.
Yeah.
Really 3 big.
Well, so I have 1 small one, that the circle one that goes around in circle, and then I have 2 of the 96 egg count that rock, and then I have the Chamuka, which is. It's actually smaller because the 2 hold 96. This one does not.
Yeah.
But
so the Chamuka is more of a professional incubator.
Yes, it has it mists air into the incubator, not onto the eggs, but into the incubator to give it moisture inside of it. It uses a lot more electricity than the other 3. So,
but I like her little one that we got on Amazon a long time ago.
My very first one.
Yeah, I don't remember
it uses 15.
It's like a bubble, like a half globe. Uses 15 watts. It only 8 eggs, but we have had nothing but good luck with that thing. It hatches a high rate.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So I can't do turkeys. I can't do turkey eggs in it because
Right.
my separator is not, the holes aren't big enough. So I can do chicken eggs in there and I get a really good success rate out of it. But the turkey eggs won't fit in there.
Mm.
So I like to use it's square and it has a double decker plastic, I guess double layer. So the bottom layer will hold the rocking racks and then the top layer will hold the rocking racks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure she'll take plenty of pictures and do plenty of shorts probably on it, right?
On the
incubators.
I don't know.
Paradise Standing says being able to adapt is key. Speed bumps are inevitable. Boy, isn't that true? And I think the more you involve people in any project or any process, the more of those speed bumps that you get. Certainly seems to be anyway.
It's just getting along and overcoming them.
Yeah, Farm Ranch Homestead says, I assume you mean chicken eggs. Yeah, if chicken eggs, I like her, her little one, but it doesn't do as much. But her like commercial, what's called the brand again?
The Chamuka or something like that.
It's
the same brand as the brooder that I have too.
Oh yeah, look at that. Cool. Luis says, our bourbon red turkey sitting on many eggs.
I keep just taking the eggs because I don't want them doing that.
Yeah. Mo says your old hatcher looks like an old school popcorn popper. Your little dome, little round one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Lazy Loper's in the house. Look at that. Lazy Loper, welcome. So your husband has been giving B a hard time. Just so you know.
About getting sheep?
No, not about getting sheep. Anyway, back to the event. So we're going to do this July the 5th. We haven't scheduled the date yet. Sometime in the fall, we'll have a harvest festival, and then we'll conclude the year with the Freeman Festivus, which is our holiday here. That typically is the last couple weeks of November, first couple weeks of December, but I don't have it scheduled yet either because just haven't gotten there. But we absolutely will. Pete said, but did she die? Well, almost. She got up, right? So no, I don't think she died, but
I don't think.
Yeah. Hey, Alabama says, thanks. I can get hatching eggs. Would like to have a good outcome. Well, I can tell you that this is actually interesting. We were just talking about this in one of our community chats a couple of days ago. Bee's little one that does 8 eggs, she's got a 90 to.
I think it does a full dozen.
Is it a dozen?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
Chicken eggs.
Okay, chicken eggs. She has like a 90+% hatch rate on them. There, and then you get into the big 96ers and her old 96ers, and there's a 60% hatch rate. And then her new commercial one, we don't know yet because we haven't been through it.
This is my first time using it.
This is her first time using it, so we won't know about that. But
I already have the display is like wonky. Like the 9, there's like a section of the numbers that are missing on the display. It's a digital display, and there's like a part of each number is missing. So I don't know.
Why don't you want broody turkey?
Because they're not very good at it. And I don't have a spot for them to be.
Well, you have plenty of spots. They don't use them
by themselves. Well, no, I mean, right now I have one. Actually, I think I have 2 now. Laying eggs inside the chicken coop, inside the chicken nesting boxes, which when I go in there, the entire tail is hanging out of the box because she's wedged in there kind of with her head at an angle and her whole tail is out. And then I have at least one bird laying eggs over by girl with dog. And then I have one laying eggs over in the compost pile where I had taken a piece of plywood and I propped it up at an angle where that other nest had been. And so I tried to make a makeshift house over there for them. And one is using it. So I just go and collect their eggs and bring them back. And when I have enough, I will start another incubator full of them because they're not good at it. If you stick a dozen eggs under there, you might get, I don't know, 10 to hatch. And then by the time they become, they're very delicate.
Yeah, turkeys look for reasons to die.
They fly into water containers and drown themselves.
They're not that bad. Mo says when people do accounting around tag, they always get choked up.
Yes.
Yeah, hey, Alabama. So I know a girl that uses silkies to hatch her eggs from other birds. They hatch her peafowl eggs. Yeah, I've heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nito said turkey poults actually try to die. Hey, Mo, real quick. I guess I don't need to put that up. Hey, Hitch has got a bunch of your types of chickens he's trying to get rid of.
Your types of chickens.
Yep, and I'll just leave it at that. You may be interested. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to do the fall festivus and the festival, and then we'll do the Freeman Festivus to conclude kind of out the year.
Gatherings.
This week I worked on getting the rainwater system into the community building. As you can see in the far right picture, I got it guttered in, pump is in, tank is in, water lines are hooked up, except that one blue one, which is hooked up now, but it wasn't at the time of the picture. So now this can all be backfilled. And,
are you going to bury the whole thing?
Yeah, that dirt will be all the way up to the bottom of the
concrete
siding. I just need to move the dirt. And I've got a pile of dirt right there beside there, so I don't even have to move very far. But this is big because tomorrow the stove shows up. So here within a day or two, I should have running water and hot water and a stove that's working and a sink that's working, which is super exciting to me.
That's a big step.
Yeah. So I got all the gas lines finished. I had a bunch of help on it. Carl came and helped me. Joe helped me. I had a bunch of help. But anyway, so we got that done. The water system I'm working on. I maybe need another half a day and I'll have it all the way in so that then we'll have water. It's gray water at this point because I still don't have the bathrooms
and
in.
To be able to, with the water and stove, it makes cooking in there a whole lot easier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'll open up a lot for us. So this is such a great picture.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it at the time, but why don't you tell these wonderful people?
So this was, I was looking, I had thought that there was a nest over here. And as I was walking past, I was thinking, oh man, those dogs came and they tore that nest apart. And that really sucks because this is where I had the turkey sitting. So it was pretty devastating to realize that the dogs came and took the nest, or came and took the eggs. And then when I got closer over there to that, I was like, wait a minute, that it was over farther. I thought the nest was just like 6 inches to the left where there was like a hollow spot. And it looks like everything has been pushed up the hill where the feathers are. Did you get another picture?
Yeah, I got the next picture. You want to see it?
So when I went over closer to it and I started like playing in it, there were eggs underneath it. So like they laid the eggs in there and then they covered over their.
Or could the dogs come by and covered it up thinking they'd get to it later?
I don't think so.
What do you guys think? What would have covered? I've never seen a chicken cover a nest up or a turkey cover a nest up.
Because I think it was the turkey that covered it up to come back to it later. I've never seen that though, because when I'm looking for the nest, I have 8 birds out there. I have 8 hens out there. I mean, I should have more turkey eggs than what I'm getting. And I'm looking for them. But now that I know that they cover up their nest.
I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to you people who out there who have raised turkey. Lou, many of you guys, have you ever seen them cover up their nest? Mo wanted to know if the tank has water in it, so don't float. I mean, it does have water. It's about 2/3 full of water.
As of right now, because we just got rain.
Well, I don't know what it is right now, but it was 2/3 before it started raining. Looking at your stuff, are you sure you weren't an engineer sometime in life? I am definitely not an engineer, but I do got some buddies, i.e. the guy above you, Mo engineer, who can help guide me through the process. Jane says maybe scratching nearby got covered by accident. I don't think that's the case, because if you look back at that picture,
it was like,
I mean, that's
the whole thing.
This is what was covered in it. That's covering those eggs. Oh, Silver Lining said turtles, maybe. How far from the pond? Not far. 100 feet.
Yeah, not far. But would the turtles cover eggs up?
I don't know.
Cover chicken eggs up?
I don't know.
And there was a turkey egg in there too. So I don't.
Hey, Jen Botho, welcome in. Says my chickens and ducks cover theirs up. Really? But our turkeys never did. Interesting. I have never seen it. Nito says I have hens that lay on the ground and cover the eggs instead of the nest boxes.
So they lay on the ground and cover the eggs. So yeah, this is on the ground, and then they would cover the eggs.
Weird.
So it probably was because there were chicken eggs and turkey eggs in there. But
Yeah.
if you look, they're only green eggs. So it's
Sorry.
probably
Wrong way.
one specific chicken and probably one turkey, because no, because I have found a couple of.
That's a turkey egg and those are chicken eggs.
Yeah. And you can see like those ones are dirtier.
Yeah, conserve friends. I've seen geese do that. Yeah, Terminator says my ducks and chickens cover them. That's so weird. We must just not get it because I have never seen that.
Well, because our chickens usually lay their eggs in the nesting box, and that's
maybe
not. I've got like grass turf in there or something, so they don't.
Weird. Weird. Anyway, what you got going on here, Punk?
These are moringa trees. I've got 13. I got 13 moringas. For some reason, you cut off the picture, but this flat had 13 trees in it.
You know, at any time you want to come up here and prepare all this, I would love that. That would be very nice. And you could have it any way you wanted it. It could be exact.
I just don't know why you wouldn't use the picture that I gave you instead of cutting it off.
I didn't cut it off.
Anyways, I had a pot with tree pots, I guess, in there, and I had 9 moringa trees already started, and then another 12 came up, so I put those into separate pots, and now I have another 13, so I've got about 34 moringa trees started if they all take, which probably won't, but.
And you're going to bring these to the plant barter.
Some of them you will, right? Some of these are just going in chicken yards.
Okay.
Some of them are just being used as fodder. Fodder.
What else are you going to bring to the barter?
I don't know yet. We
Turmeric?
talked about
turmeric roots.
We talked about turmeric, yeah, plants.
Saffron?
No, that's not growing right now. I don't have no crocus bow. Well, I guess there are the purple crocus are growing, but not the purple. One of them is growing over by the shop. I don't know what that is.
Is that for the April 26th one or for the Midwest barter night? It's for the 26th one.
Right.
Yeah. I won't typically take anything to barter at Midwest, typically about that time, about ready to go home and go to bed. So
I was going to see if I could start a couple more too, but I don't. I think I had soaked every moringa seed that I had come across. I'd gotten some from Life with Mike and Jen. I'd gotten some from Eagle Lover, Texas. I'd gotten some from oh my gosh, a long time ago. MC. I'll think about it.
Yeah, so Bee's got lots of stuff she's gonna an oddball stuff that she's gonna bring for the plant barter, right?
I don't think it's odd.
I think turmeric's odd.
Cool.
You know, moringa's pretty odd for this, for this area, but who is that?
That is Jess with American Roots. We are working on planting beds. We got about 120 feet of garden beds covered. We got the like landscaping fabric, weed barrier type of stuff put down, and then we put the prairie hay over top of it just in time for the rain so that it could wet it and soak it down, hold it down. That way we can put the plants in there, and then we'll have to worry so much about the weeds. And then the onions are growing up around the edges there. We used bricks. You can see some of the bricks to hold it down before the rain came.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't get all blown away.
Yeah. So the hay that you see them spreading, just so everybody knows, these are 3-year-old bales of hay off of our ground. So whatever we bale we feed the animals, but what's left over goes in the leftover pile. And then I stack them by year. So like if she needs some kind of covering, I'll just go get her the oldest bale I have, which you can see in the background that they peel from, that she can use it. So what's really neat about something like that is I'm not taking the nutrients from my land and selling it or sending it away. I'm putting it right back into my land.
We are now. Yep. We used to sell it.
Used to.
And then we got cows.
Once you read what Nito said.
Using it for food. Wish I could grow a moringa tree. It gets too cold in the winter here. If they could get roots established, they would freeze back to the ground, or so I am told. I plant mine. I planted them last year, and then I dug them up and put the root ball into a cool, dark spot, and mine molded. I actually stuck them in a bag type of thing too, which was bad on my part. So I should not have done that. Probably should have laid them out on a cardboard or something to
breathe,
not get so much, hold so much moisture.
Yeah.
I did take them out and put them in dirt to see if I could probably get them to start again. So far, not so good, but I have gotten 34 of the others the seeds to start. And that's the thing too. I thought if I could grow one to fruit, to seed, then I could possibly take those seeds and start those every single year, just starting a new tree every single year and using that as supplemental stuff, for farm. I have plenty more moringa seeds for you. Yes. Thank you, friend.
She decided so easy.
I love you.
What you got going on here?
I'm working my way down the walls, man.
This is pod 4. This has been a 2-year project trying to get me and be a master bathroom. Well, it has that too, but bedroom.
Yeah.
So she's actually doing some painting, which is good. It's only taken her a year to get this far.
I'm working. So I have a tiny little toothbrush and I'm going in between the lines of the shiplap, which is a tedious job. But I've gotten down, you could see past the first row of lights. I'm working on the ceiling fan area right now. So it's like a row of lights and then a row of ceiling fans and then a row of lights. I've gotten the top ones done and I'm working my way down the ceiling. What is that, like a lean-to ceiling?
Oh yeah, friends like this. Go
ahead. Solutions for you be a geothermal wallopini to grow moringas. That is a good idea, and I hope to have something like that eventually. But we are full of projects.
Mm-hmm. Hippocrates says, for those in Arkansas, hey, I have a lot of friends that live in Arkansas who might be driving up this way sometime soon. We're in the middle of Free Tree Friday from the Arkansas Forestry Service. Can get up to 5 free bare root whips of whatever they have: mulberry, birch, persimmon. Mulberry, persimmon, those would be amazing, right? Yeah. Let's see here. Sorry, Tag, I just had to poke you about it. Yep. I know.
Yeah.
Keep the root dry and replant in the summer. You want a bush, not a tree, to harvest leaves.
Oh.
That's good advice.
Bush.
Right? There's another picture of it, right?
Yeah.
Like it's closing in.
Walls hanging, or this.
I can't wait.
Lights hanging down.
I cannot wait, because someday not having to walk downstairs to pee in the middle of the night would be, I would love that. Yeah. Yes, I would absolutely love that. Hey, Silver Lining, talking to Instigator, says, Instigator, I will get more information from you about the trees. Yes. Yes, all of those beautiful Arkansas people. I have so many friends in Arkansas, and they just so happen to maybe be coming this way. Maybe. Yeah, Starless says, Tag, has B made you any dessert lately? Just think the squash bread is coming. Yeah, I have had some baked goods lately, right?
Yeah.
Which have been pretty good. I've had a bunch of cakes. They made, I got German chocolate cake made from me the other day.
Yeah. peanut
That
butter
was
cookies.
really good. Peanut butter cookies.
I
those
can't
really good.
keep. I put peanut butter dough in the refrigerator, thinking that I would come back and make cookies, but it like walked away. It disappeared. It was like a magic trick. So I didn't bake them. They ran away.
I love me some cookie dough. I know, and for all those people who are going to say don't eat cookie dough, it's bad for you. I got it. That's what they've said a lot, but I still eat cookie dough. Pockety says, I got 8 pawpaw whips from someone on Etsy. We'll see how they do. I'd love to grow pawpaw.
Oh, nice.
I'd love all those. Persimmon, pawpaw, all those I'd love to get. Jen says, Lisa, remind me, I'm still in Southern California. Yep. Skating Girl said, I'll be driving through Arkansas a couple of times over the next couple of months. I think you probably got to be an Arkansas resident, though, to participate in that program, would be my guess. See here, Stan says, I'm just across the border in Siloam. I hope I pronounced that right. Yeah. So, Stan, what I'm trying to do is plant the seed that if any of my Arkansas friends are going to come up here anyway, if they can get free trees like persimmon trees and pawpaw trees and those kind of things, we would definitely put them in the food forest. And I not only would I put them in the food forest,
We'll put your name on them.
I will hang your name on them in the food forest. Right?
Yes.
Would you do that?
I think that I would do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because man, right, the more trees, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Hippocrates says April 11th and 24th are the last 2 Fridays. Rotates counties.
Oh.
Oh, okay, got it. So we may work, may not offer. Silver Lining said I was just about to offer tag. If you could find a way to pull it off, Silver Lining, we would gladly add to the food force. And since we're on that topic, you know, our farm gets visited a lot. We have a lot of people who come and go. You are more than welcome if you got something special you want to plant in the food forest. Because again, our goal is to absolutely create a forest full of food. The more the merrier, right? We're constantly planting stuff in, and you know, in a effort to get it to grow.
And we have a lot of, you know, we have this guy apple tree and that guy hyssop and you know, we've got so much that have come from other people that, you know, we got the Allen comfrey and the
Alan, a buddy of mine who moved to Tanzania, he came in and traded back and forth with a bunch of different
moringa.
Stuff. Moringa, that's who the moringa was you were thinking about. Yeah. And then also comfrey and a bunch of stuff. And they're growing now, and they're, you know, all over the place. Let's see here. Jen says the apricot cuttings are still alive. Hopefully some make it to Kansas. We do not have any apricots. None.
That's amazing.
Oh, tag, don't say that because I have way too much to plant. Well, a food forest takes a lot.
Takes way too much to plant.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot. So I think it's just great. The more we plant, the better. And, you know, the more that gets planted, the better we can, you know, help supplement not just our food, but, you know, the community's food and, you know, people who come to visit.
Well, and that's something is going to grow there. So if it's something that we want, even better than something that we don't.
Yeah. But if it's anything food, I think it's good.
Right. I'm talking about what grows there now is like not food. You know, it's like Queen Anne's lace. No, not that one. What is that one? There's another one. I can't think of it.
It was all the coughing, wasn't it?
No.
Hippocrates said that's why my goal was to be up and running by the nursery by now, doing custom grafting, but that plan is on hold indefinitely. Well, I hope you get it squared away. I think that's a wonderful thing. And you know, I would absolutely love to do more and more and more of that. I can't get out from building stuff. So that's pretty much all I do. But hey, Permatopia Farm. What's up, Mandy? How are you? Jen says, I cut 15, so I'm praying at least half actually make it. Oh, that'd be a blessing. That would be a blessing. We don't have any apricot. Our fruit trees are cherry trees, plum trees, pear trees, peach trees, apple trees, fig trees. Anything else? I can't think of anything else. Nut trees is something we don't have a lot of either.
Right.
But we're working on it. It's slow, but we're absolutely working on it.
We've planted some.
Yeah.
Just haven't made it.
Yeah.
My hardy almond didn't make it.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy because our house we lived in before, we had some Howell's Hardy almond trees. Man, they did great.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely great. Jen says, do you have any mulberries? Not enough.
We have the one real big one inside the garden. Actually, one in each of the gardens just so happened to have a mulberry tree in it.
Tag, how many apricot trees do you want? Have enough time to propagate on the tree like Danny and Wanda do it. So here's the thing. Like I said, I've got 20 acres of woods that at some point I'd love to fill with food. And then also there's a ton of community around us who will find use of all of those kinds of things. So I don't really think there's an answer to that, Starla. Is that all?
I've tried with a neighbor to, what is that when you cut and you put them together
Wrapping.
and we use the tool, and he hadn't done it before, I think, or maybe he had like taken some classes on it, but hadn't really done it. And I hadn't done it, didn't know, but I had the tool. And so we did it together and did like 3 or 4 trees and in our orchard, and they did not make it. None of them did.
Hey, Permatopia Farm, did you hear from Instigator? If you go back in the chat, apparently you guys are having free trees going on in Arkansas, free fruit trees and stuff like that. So you might want to go back and look. I don't know. I know you've got a bustling farm yourself, so if you can get free trees, I would absolutely look for you. I would do it, I would think anyway, right?
Well, yeah.
All right. You want to get on to the good news?
Sure.
Everybody ready for the good news tonight? I'm ready for the good news.
Yes.
Okay. There's a lot going on, obviously. Oh, shoot. I got to get all that way back to the beginning.
Oh.
See down there at the bottom?
Yeah. You're not going to get through all that, are you?
Oh
my gosh. You better talk fast, buddy.
I'll do my best.
Go.
Okay. Happy Liberation Day, everybody. As you guys know, Donald Trump came out and said that Tuesday would be Liberation Day, and a lot of people speculated on, oh my goodness, hold on, time out. Terminator says, Tag, do you have any sugar maple in your food forest? I do not. I have not found sugar maples here. I found silver maples, and those I have not found sugar maples, but I would love some sugar maple trees. Love, 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 love. Okay, anyway, back to Liberation Day. So a lot of people speculated on a lot of things. They talked about the creation of the External Revenue Service. A lot of people talked about it be about tariffs, and it was about tariffs, clearly. Hey, Scott, what's up, buddy? Yeah, Scott right there says, I would love some apricot trees. Gumpy has one that barely fruits, but it's beautiful. Yep. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. We're blessed. Crunchy Mama Farms. How are you? Welcome in.
Welcome.
Yep. Hey, I heard that one of the festivals that I speak at a lot is going to move their operations to Texas. So that may get me down there to speak a few times. And I would love to come down there in your guys' neck of the woods and speak and see y'all. Terminator, that would be a blessing. Anyway, okay, so Trump Liberation Day. I thought it was really, really cool that Mandy, and I don't know Mandy, but she had made the comment, can someone please explain it to me like I'm 5? Why? Or why people are getting mad that president puts tariffs on countries that already charge the U.S. the same amount, if not more, in tariffs. And I think this brings up a good point because a lot of people don't understand it. So one interesting word is reciprocal, right? And they talk a lot about the tariffs being reciprocal. Well, to me, reciprocal means same. I do to you, you do to me. According to the dictionary, it says it's mutually corresponding, right? Agreed to extend reciprocal privileges to each other's citizens, for example. And so I imagined it would be the same, but just so everybody knows, reciprocal in our government clearly doesn't mean what we think it means. Crunchy Mama Farm says, if you come to Texas, we'll have a room for you guys. Awesome. Yep. I'd love to come down there and speak. I've never spoken Texas, but I've got family down there and in Belton. Well, it depends on where they're at any given time, but maybe in Belton. But anyway, I'd love to come down and see you guys. So if I just pulled up some of the lists of some of the reciprocal tariffs. So China, for example, charges us a 67% tariff, and we charge them a 34%. And so my first question is, how is that reciprocal?
Yeah, that's not.
right? The European Union charges us 39. We charge them 20.
We charge them now 20, or
This is the new, no. This is what we
these
put
are the
in.
new ones.
These are the new ones,
which is still not reciprocal.
Right. Vietnam charges us 90%.
Woo!
Which so we did a reciprocal tariff of 46%.
So all of those pants that you're wearing that say "Made in Vietnam," we actually paid 90%
of the cost in tariffs.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. And there's a lot of things like there's a lot of companies who their manufacturing plants are in places like Taiwan and Laos and in a lot of those countries, which that's how it
Like
ultimately
clothing?
a lot of clothing amongst other things. But I just think it's fascinating that they talk about reciprocating and it's really not reciprocating in any way.
97% versus
Right.
49%.
I mean, look, there's Laos.
Cambodia.
There's Laos right there, 95% to 48%. Right. So when people tell you that we're doing reciprocal tariffs, that is absolutely not true. I don't know why there has to be any tariffs. I mean, I've yet to hear a intelligent reason why we just make all the tariffs zero.
Yeah.
Right.
Or go and buy from the companies that are the countries that are given the same, like Peru, for example, 10 and 10.
Yeah, but
if they're going to charge you 10%, you charge them 10%.
That makes perfect sense to me. But right, this to me isn't a reciprocal tariff, and so I was actually a little disappointed, because I wanted to throw the sledgehammer. If we're going to go through all this chaos that we're going through, let's just go through it. What
was it before? If China is 34%, what was it before?
Probably 10 or 12. And then, there's some other stuff going on in China too. Today they came back out and said they were going to add an additional 34%. So, which matches our 34% tariff, right? Mm-hmm. And so now everything is in chaos because that's going to put the Chinese tariff, up at 90%.
Yeah.
And and I don't know if you guys know this, that 80% of what Walmart sells you does not come from the United States of America.
How many percent? 80?
Over 80%. Crunchy Mama Farm says Amy was on a chat with all of the event industry people. The florists are going to be destroyed by the tariffs this wedding season. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going to get hammered. And the good news is I think we can prepare for it. But yeah, there's I'm going to talk a lot about this stuff tonight, Crunchy Mama Farms, because our world is a complete mess right now. Let's see here. In shocking development, Canada announces that it will build a coalition of countries who share their values to build their economy and trade opportunities and will exclude the United States of America. If the U.S. no longer wants to lead, Canada will. Breaking from France, France just punched Trump in the wallet. Macron announced a pause on all recent and future investments into the United States of America. And obviously, this is all in rebuke to the tariffs. As I mentioned earlier, China put an additional 34% tariff on, to which Trump then replied, China played it wrong. They panicked. The one thing they can't afford to do. The European Union just told Trump to brace for impact after his 20% tariff stunt. Ursula von der Leyen fired back. This is a major blow to the world economy. We're preparing countermeasures. This won't end well, especially for the American people. The European Commission is considering a full shutdown of the European Union market to all American goods. So there's this big boycott America stuff going on. Oh my goodness, look at all those comments here real quick. Here, let me get to some of them. When Mr. Sam died, his family got rid of the Made in America things he had in his stores. Yeah, over 80%. His definition of reciprocal is that he's equating inputs to U.S. with exports. Cambodia exports 97%. While importing only 3% of American goods. I get it. Yeah, I don't, it still doesn't seem like.
Which is probably why he only did it to 30, he only took China to 37% or whatever.
Hippocrates sounds like a business opportunity for small scale flower growers and a good time to plant. And that was in reference to Crunchy Mama Farm's comment, right?
That's what I was thinking. We have a florist just like 2 doors down from us who grows her own flowers, and then she sells them to the florist in town.
Yeah, Crunchy Mama says the problem is that the season is upon us. No time to produce in time for this year. Hey, Rhonda, how are you? Welcome in. Let's see here. Oh, sorry, wrong one. He couldn't just match the tariffs and VATs put on by other countries, as they would game the system and ship out of other countries, just like companies did after his last tariffs were in China. Hey, Mr. Redding, how are you? Good to see you, buddy. Probably my longest friend that I've known in this world today is that guy right there. Got to be. Oh my goodness.
You're pretty old.
35 years, something like that. Yeah. Let's see here. FYI, I bought a bunch of Tesla and Ford stock. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the markets tonight a little bit, because I think there will be some opportunity. I don't know if it's yet, but I think there certainly will be. I think. Even Ben Shapiro jumped in the anti-tariff game. Ben Shapiro calls Trump's tariffs the largest tax increase on Americans in history that will decimate this economy, and one that stems from a complete misunderstanding of how international trade works and a misunderstanding of trade deficits. To further that up, Rand Paul jumps on and says that Trump's tariffs, in reference to Trump's tariffs, that when McKinley put tariffs on in the 1890s, they lost 50% of their seats. When Smoot-Hawley put their tariffs in the early 1930s, we lost the House and the Senate for 60 years. So not only bad economically, but they're also bad politically. I also found something interesting that Galvin Newsom went on to say that for our trading partners around the globe, California is ready to talk. We will not sit idly by during Trump's tariff war. We make up 14% of the U.S. GDP. We're the 5th largest economy in the world, and we're not scared to use our market powers to fight back. So I think this insinuates that California will go around the tariffs and will do whatever they want to do anyway. And obviously that's going to create quite the showdown, between the Trump administration and California. Now, they've had them in the past, but I don't know if I would really do that to Trump, because he is so unpredictable is the word I think I would use. Let's see here. Then in response to all of that, I'm sure you guys have been watching Fox Business, the U.S. markets bearing the blunt of the global market sell-off. $2.5 trillion have vaporized just this season alone. Workers, retirees, pensioners, no doubt unhappy as they peek at their 401ks, retirement funds, and kids' 529 college savings plan. As I mentioned before, we were talking about Vietnam and the big tariffs there. Nike just lost nearly $10 billion in market cap in under an hour because Trump slapped a 46% tariff on Vietnam, where Nike has over 450,000 workers in 130 factories in the country of Vietnam. And this is how it touches the American people, right? The stock catered nearly 7%, and investors hit the panic button. 100,000% retaliatory tariffs are incoming. If you guys have watched the markets, and I posted these are the actual from CNN Business over the last few days. So on the 3rd, on April the 3rd, today is the 4th. So yesterday the markets closed down. We'll just pick on one. Let's pick on the Dow today. The closed down 1,639 points. And then, it was at 1,639 points. By the time it got to the close, it was 1,025 points. And today, the same Dow lost 2,200 points. And so if you, kind of add all of those up, that's almost a 10% drop, just in 2 days. But something that I found interesting, I wanted to point out, if you guys not understand, this is CNN, right? And so it's to their bias, but you see that little graph, that little pie graph, half pie graph thing up there? But that talks about what's driving the market. And if you can see, yesterday it was extreme fear rated at an 8. This morning it was extreme fear rated as a 5. And by the end of the close today, it was extreme fear rated as a 4. And the lower that number goes, the more fear there is.
The lower it is, it's the worse it is?
Yeah, it is the worse it is. But here's something you guys have to understand about the stock market. And I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but 88% of the stock market today is owned by the top 10% of the population. And so if you dig into that a little bit further, what that means is the average Joe, you and me, only makes up 12% of the market. you know? And so this fear stuff that's going on is affecting the top 10% of the country way more than it's affecting, that other 12%. And so I often I know that this is a big game being played too, and that the deep state, the people on the other side want to see trouble so that they can blame it on, blame it on Trump. Right. And Trump wants to make it look good. And I'll give you an example. There was 2 reports today. One of them's in my slideshow later there were more corporate layoffs in March than at any time since the 2020 COVID pandemic. Now that was on like MSNBC. And then on Fox News today, job market surges is up, 228,000 jobs over an estimated 100,000 jobs.
So it went down, then went back up?
Well, it's 2 different spins, probably to the same story. Starla Doak says, personally, I think Trump is right. I understand it's going to hurt some, but fair is fair. And from my understanding, the level at which the markets were not sustainable anyway. The markets are not sustainable.
They're not.
And they haven't been for a long, long time.
I mean, well, look at where we're sitting at.
But now so China's is going to take, this is going to be very, very hard on China, depending on how this whole thing, kind of plays out. But really, according to Zero Hedge, China has 3 options, which is to concede defeat to whatever Trump demands. That's not going to happen. Devalue their own yuan, right? Or unleash big fiscal stimulus. And all of those are bad, right? If you do big fiscal stimulus, right, it'll push the debt, for them kind of off the chart. The real reason the stock market is crashing and what you will see next is this is the Wall Street punishing Trump, using the media to drag his name through the mud. Trump's tariffs in 2016 did the same thing before the market rallied higher than ever before in U.S. history. What I think is really interesting about this is if you guys remember back during the Biden administration, there was a time where the market kind of had a sell-off to about the same level like we're at now. And they were just talking about how just hang tough. This is fine. This is just part of it. Don't worry about it. But now that Trump's president, and we're having the same kind of sell-off. It's the end of the world. The depression is coming, et cetera, et cetera. Let's see here. Where am I missed out here? Okay, David. David says corporations own each other. There's no need to conspire when interests align. Corporations are the front for the real ruling class. I agree with David 100% on this. Hippocrates says everyone wants the hard stuff to be done just by somebody else. Boy, isn't that true. Oh my goodness.
No kidding.
That is true. I'm hearing the housing bubble is about to burst. What are your thoughts on this? Well, hey, Alabama, I can tell you that 7.03% of mortgages are 90 days or more past due, which is at its highest level since the housing bubble of 2008, which by the way was 7.02%. So there are more homes 90 days or more in default today than there was at the peak of the 2008 housing crisis. If we as a country develop manufacturing and started with the high tariffed items, the U.S. just needs to rebuild manufacturing. This is a great point, Nidos, and I often wonder why Trump did it the way he did it, because you would think you'd get that manufacturing up first. Because I'm going to tell you something, I know a little bit about this. And if you were going to build a new manufacturing plant, especially a high-end manufacturing plant, so let's talk like, semiconductor, chips, gallium nitride, stuff like that. It's going to be 2 or 3 years before you can ever get that plant going. And in many cases, maybe even 5, if it's super technical. So it's going to take time to pull all of that up. You're not going to be able to just turn the switch on and boom, American manufacturing is back. G. John says hedge fund managers are making a mint shorting the market. They don't have to disclose their holdings. Ever wonder why the whole market goes down? That's actually a really great point. And I think it's shenanigans too. Let's see here. Starla says the markets would have to go down 4,000 to 5,000 points for it to be considered a crash. Well, I think it depends on who you're talking to, because I think the 20% that it's down for the year would put it into bear market. And I think there's a lot of people panicking. It's interesting. I was looking at the number of trades, and today will go down as one of the top volume days in stock market history, meaning the number of transactions. The other thing is that you have to understand about the market is there's only one reason the market goes down, and that's because there are more sellers than buyers.
Right.
There's only one reason it goes up, which means there's more buyers than sellers, right? And that's simple economics. Hey, Alabama says all this stuff that goes to other countries to be made for less money comes back here and it's still expensive. Well, there's just a lot of stuff in the middle of that. I mean, you guys ever seen a box of something? I mean, I seen this in Pears one day that it was that it was grown in South America, packaged in China.
Yeah.
So it's going from South America to China and then back to us, right? Gary Davis. It says lots of paper millionaires. Yep. JB says he doesn't have 5 years, 2 at best, unless Republicans win the midterms. Well, I'm going to say if this economy, if we're still having some of the problems we're having, and you guys, the problems are real. It's not just made up. I mean, the retail businesses are hurting. You know, the retail business sector has experienced huge drop. People are not buying what they were. You know, I read an article that was talking about how inventories, and this was back at the 1st of March, that inventories were up between 5 and 10%, which means they're not being able to sell what they're used to being able to sell. But of course, their overhead's the same, right? They still have to pay employees. They still have to do those kinds of things. So
those are actually going up too.
Yeah, I can confirm that retail sales across the board are in bad shape. Amazon, I think, in the first quarter was down like 13% in their retail sales. In fact, it was down so much that they canceled several of the big programs that they were working on. Mo says, it is too late to do this slowly. I think Trump is right to do it faster. It will hurt a lot, but it is our best chance. It is just a slim chance anyway. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just think that if I was going to do the tariff thing, I would have spent my first 6 months preparing for it. You know, trying to get ground broke, trying to get, you know, manufacturing up, trying to get some of that stuff, you know. And you could do it under the guise of I want to create jobs. You could do all kinds of good things there. I just don't know that I would have done it the same way. But it's easy for me to say, right, Mo? You know, Monday morning quarterbacking here on Life Done Free YouTube channel. Whole lot, right? I mean, seriously, it's a whole lot harder when you're sitting up there at the top and you've got every single person in the world pulling at you in different directions, trying to tell you, you know, what's right.
Yeah.
No. But there's always positives, obviously. So global companies, global companies explore U.S. expansion. Can you not read that? How about this?
Oh, you're reading this.
Does that help you?
I thought you were reading this up here. You don't start at the top, which confuses the heck out of me sometimes.
Well,
you just start wherever you want to, and I'm like looking at the top, and I'm like, oh no, he's not reading that. Where is he reading?
Oh
yeah, he's reading over here.
Yeah. So anyway, global companies explore U.S. expansion for growth and stability. I'm sure you guys have heard. But there's $6 trillion in commitments of companies bringing new manufacturing into the United States, which will have long-term, you guys will have a great effect on all of this. Market expectations has pegged job creation at just 137,000, but yet the actual number came in March at 228,000. So almost doubled the expected new jobs created. So that's a good sign, I think, also. Israel's removed all of its tariffs on American products. Vietnam just cut duties on gas and cars. The world got called out, and they're starting to fall in line. Ford Motor Company is offering employee pricing to all U.S. buyers. For the next couple months, we're going to offer our customers the same deal that our employees get. That's worth thousands of dollars. Anybody guess why they did this? Did they do this to be nice?
Yeah.
Did they? No. They actually did it because 70% of the parts that they get to make their vehicle are made overseas. So they're going to experience the tariff thing too, right?
So why are they making their cars cheaper then if it's going to be harder for them to get their parts? Ford. Why is Ford making their cars cheaper for people giving employee pricing if it's going to be harder for them to get their parts? Because
so I think they're trying. Right? Yeah, I think they're trying to take advantage of an opportunity. I mean, I think it's great marketing. If you know, so like an example, I don't remember the exact number, so I'm going to have to wing this a little bit. But Toyota sells like 4.7 million cars in America every year, but yet America doesn't sell any over in Japan. Right. And so I think this is a great opportunity. If you're going to tariff it and you're going to slow all of that stuff down, what a great way. I think it's partly a marketing tactic, but I also think that because these tariffs, as they're beginning to come into effect, Ford's trying to get rid of its inventory. Ford's trying to do some things, which is why they're offering some of these deals. Starla says, but tag and B, how much of the retail sales being down is on Trump and how much is on Biden. I don't have any idea what's on what, but I can tell you is they're down. So some people will blame, some people will blame Trump. Some people will blame Biden. I can tell you that it really started right at the beginning of the Trump term, which I don't think you can really blame Trump on that. So I don't know, but it's down either way. Instigator says Trump likely didn't think he had 6 months to do preparation. He had to hit the ground in a blitzkrieg, not given time for defenses to be built. Might be.
Yeah.
G. John says Trump is right to go fast. We weren't on a sustainable plan. This I agree with. Remember when you weren't charged tax on Amazon products? They drove out the bookstores and got big enough that subsidies were taken away. That's a great point. G. Jones also says BRICS countries get a break since there were developing countries, but Brazil, Russia, India, and China are now developed and shouldn't get the breaks anymore. I agree with that. I don't think there should be any tariffs. I mean, I think you buy my product, I buy yours. Let the American people or the people of the country decide what they want to buy, you know? Yeah, inventory doesn't make money, sales make money. No, but if you don't have anything to sell, then you can't make any money. So an increase in inventory would be a lack of sales, right? Unless you just have a horribly owned company that's building things in excess of what you're selling, right? Don't forget that Tesla owners are being targeted. Why not incentivize to buy a Ford? That's a good point. All right, where was I at here? I was on Ford, right? Israel again removes all of its tariffs. Also, as the King Jeff Juicy Hefty Lefty Amazon Slick Mud Dauber said earlier, Vietnam came back and said they're going to take the tariffs to zero, which is exactly what Trump wants. So it looks like that loss that Nike experienced, they will be bouncing back. I wonder if anybody bought Nike, right? That'd have been a good way to make some money. Senator Bernie Moreno discusses President Trump's tax plan. I think the stock market is going to majorly correct upward because when you pump $6 trillion in investment into the economy, I think the stock market's going to go very, very high. I think this is a good point. I'm not real big on the stock market anymore, but I think if you could figure out where the bottom of all of this was, a lot of the things I think Trump's doing is going to be very good for us in the long term. I think in the short term, though, it's definitely going to hurt. All right, where are we at here? Mexico folds, will not implement retaliatory tariffs against the United States. Italy's prime minister, which I like her, by the way, Giorgia Meloni said tariffs are not the end of the world, and she stresses that the European Union should not do any retaliatory tariffs, and she's 100% right. And then there was a video going around of Nancy Pelosi talking about how we should be tariffing everybody.
That's Pelosi?
Yeah, that's back in the 90s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going to get my face off here real quick.
So I can read that on the slide.
The new Prime Minister of Canada is now backtracking, calling America the most important security ally. Previously, he said the relationship between the countries was over, and he has all of a sudden changed his mind. John Kennedy went on to say that if you want a surefire investment, go book as many hotel rooms near the White House as you can, because every foreign trade representative is coming to America to negotiate a deal with President Trump. Which one is it? That one? Yeah, that one. All right, let's see here. G. John says interest rates will go down, companies will hire, and those jobs will offset those laid off from the government on 30 September. By the way, many of those folks will find a job before that. Yeah, I agree. And I actually think, we talked about this in previous lives. I think a lot of this is about lowering interest rates. I think a lot of getting the stock market down is about lowering interest rates, because don't forget there's almost $10 trillion in federal debt that has to be refinanced this year, and they do not want to refinance it at the current interest rates, right? So I think that it's very well could be on purpose, and I get it why. I would want to do the exact same thing if I was in that position. In the meantime, you guys following what's going on all over Europe, Marine Le Pen sentenced and barred from running from elections. And this is an interesting story too, because Marine Le Pen was leading in all of the polls, and her, let me see, back up. Let me see here. The removal of French president frontrunner Marine Le Pen from the ballot and her impending political imprisonment for 5 years is exactly the same playbook they used against Trump. So France went after their political opponent, just like they did with Trump, and they convicted her of embezzlement and sentenced her. I'm a little bit confused, because some things I've read said 5 years, some said 2 years. But anyway, they have sentenced the lady who was leading in the polls. Talk about, deja vu. But Marine Le Pen breaks her silence with a defiant message. She says, I'm a fighter. I'm not going to let myself be eliminated. I will pursue every avenue of appeal that I can. I have fought for the French people for 30 years and I'll continue to do so. I think this is a big deal. Again, I think this is exactly what they were talking about with Trump. J.D. Vance was right about Europe. It has officially fallen. Macron, which is who the other party was. So Macron would have ran against her, right? So Macron is putting Marine Le Pen in prison after she is crushing him in the polls. America needs to sanction France. I think this is a big deep state fight, right? I mean, everyone's getting mad because Trump is alienating his, what would be our allies or our traditional allies, but it's this kind of stuff that's going on. It's the same stuff. Yeah.
The crooked,
yeah. That's again why I'm I think about it all the time about how maybe it really is the Putins and the Trumps of the world trying to fight back, against the deep state. Mo Engineer says, in Atlas Shrugged, it was all about free trade. If it was otherwise, they would send your ship to the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. I'd love to get there. Let's see here. Europe mobilizes for war with Russia. All 27 European Union member states today approved the Rearm Europe Act operation that will add European $800 billion to Europeans' defense spending. I also think it's interesting that they're talking about how they're mobilizing 1.3 million troops, which, if I remember right, Russia has 1.4 million. Turkey's people have said enough. I'm going to get rid of our picture for a little bit so I get that slide. Turkey's people have said enough. Turkey's opposition coalition reports 2.2 million protesters are demonstrating against Erdogan's dictatorship and economic mismanagement amid 85% inflation. Could you imagine? Oh my God. Yep. Also, there are rail lines full of armored personnel carriers headed to the border down to Mexico, and a lot of the questions are asking what's going on. The deputy commander for the Sudanese armed forces said, we tried to avoid war, but the big regional players, the UAE, were intent upon destroying the Sudanese people. So there's war breaking out in Africa. Israel has recently observed a military buildup in Egypt. And according to the security source in Egypt, these deployed forces, we back up. So Israel has also asked the United States for help because they have noticed a buildup of Egypt forces. Let's see here. Actually sounds a lot like the royal politics back in the day of the European monarchies. Most of the royals were actually related. There seems to be a lot of that going on, huh? See, Trump hits at major action against Iran. Something is going to happen to Iran very soon, says Donald Trump. Panic in the Middle East in recent hours. The United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Jordan, and other countries in the region have called the Iranian president to assure him that they will not let America use their soil against him. Houthis forces have downed a U.S. Air Force F-18 off the USS Harry Truman. Now, there's not a lot of details to this. So I was kind of wondering, did they shoot it? What? Again, I couldn't find it. Let's see. The Houthis have also shot down an American MQ-9 Reaper drone. Iran put 60,000 U.S. troops on notice across the Middle East. Hundreds of ballistic missiles are loaded into launchers in all underground missile bases, and they are ready to launch, according to the Tehran Times. A massive attack on Iran, unprecedented since World War II, will begin soon. In addition, a massive blow to Iran's nuclear program will be dealt. And this is from the Israeli Channel 14, was quoted as saying. And Iran says, Russia comes back and says, do not attack Iran or else, which was Russia's stern warning to the United States. Gijon says Iran has until the end of the month. Habsburg-Chin. President Trump deployed 7 B-2 stealth bombers to Diego Garcia. We were going to talk about this last week. I just don't think I got to it. A vital U.S. Indo-Pacific airbase as Iran keeps backing Houthi terrorists. Iran's about to F around and find out. What I think is interesting about this, to put this into perspective, so the United States has a total of 20 B-2 stealth bombers, and we just deployed 7 of them to their shores. with the rumor of 2 more coming. So about 30% of our stealth bomber, B-2 stealth bomber, are now sitting in a place where they could strike Iran, the Houthis, any of them. Let's see. Let's keep it trucking here. New war in the Middle East. Oops.
Oh, what happened?
I have no idea. New war in the Middle East. Israel urges again U.S.'s help because there are forces being massed. And for the first time ever, U.S. military deploys laser weapons to down drones in Yemen. This was a beautiful video. I don't know if you guys like these things, but I like watching the military, tech. Maybe it's because I was a soldier. I don't know. But I watched the video of this. I don't know if it's a destroyer or I would assume it's on a destroyer maybe, but any battleship of some kind. But they were shooting lasers and shooting drones out of the sky, which is pretty cool, which is the first time ever that these have been actually deployed into combat. All right, breaking news. China is surrounding Taiwan right now. I don't know if you guys followed this, but there's a big military exercise going on in China, and they're using live rounds, missiles, and bombs exploding in these so-called drills. Meanwhile, in Utah, Hill Air Force Base has ramped up fighter jets and helicopters over 10 cities. Is the U.S. military preparing to confront China in the Taiwan Straits? Taiwan responds and is also preparing for war against China. Taiwan's largest scale annual military drills, the Han Quan exercise, will be lengthened this year to include 2 weeks of computerized desktop war games and 10 days of live fire drills. The 14-day laptop simulations running from April 5th to the 18th will be the longest in the Han Quan history, testing Taiwan's response to a potential surprise attack from China. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has reoriented the U.S. military, prioritizing deterring China's seizure of Taiwan. This means that the U.S. will let Europe deal with Russia themselves, and the military does not have the resources to fight on 2 fronts. Hippocrates goes on to say, not a vet, but from the civil side, while we win battles easily, it would be nice to actually win a war again. Not wishing for war, he says. Hey, Ryan and Matador's here. What's up, buddy? Just getting here. Hey, everybody. Hope you all are well. Starting at the beginning, see you at the end. Guys, I actually think this is the biggest deal. I have some military contacts. None of them have shared with me that Iran's a very big worry for them. But all of them have shared with me that China is a very big worry for them. So I actually kind of buy into this because this lines up with the intelligence that I have anyway, to say that this is really the big fight and this is really what they're looking to defend against. And there would be, if that is true, it would leave some merit to why he's leaving Europe to deal with Russia and leaving, potentially Israel to deal with, Hamas and Iran and, all of those kind of things. But I guess only time will tell. 3 days after Zelensky predicts Putin's imminent death, the Russian president's limousine exploded in front of the FSB headquarters, coinciding with this major provocation. Couldn't even speak tonight. The U.S. and France have announced the deployment of troops to Ukraine, the UK and France. So you've got Europe, which is now saying that they're going to mass 1.4 million or 1.3 million soldiers deploying, and Putin's limousine just blew up. Now he was not in it. The threat of nuclear war is now the highest it's ever been in history. President Trump says he's pissed off at Putin and the UK and France publicly to send troops to the Ukraine to fight Russia. All of these developments broke days after Zelensky says Putin will soon be dead. Hey, Bessie, how are you? Welcome in. What else? Russia unveils the new Zircon hypersonic missile capable of Mach 9 speeds. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. Yep. Trump promises to impose tariffs on Russian oil within the month if there is no agreement to the end of the conflict in the Ukraine. I don't know if Trump's just really good at this or if he's just super arrogant, but I don't know whether him demanding there be some kind of settlement, it'll happen, because it sure seems to me that Putin's saying, okay, we'll stop, but we're going to keep the land that we've got. We're going to keep the, warm water port, which is something they've always wanted. And Ukraine's just going to have to like it. Ukraine is saying we're not giving up any territory. It's not going to happen. Europe is funding the Ukraine, and now they're talking about sending troops. And imagine when French and British soldiers enter the Ukraine. That's going to create a mess. I don't see how they think this is going to end well. The Federal Maritime. Oh, look, we're going to get this right in time. Look at this. The Federal Maritime Commission chairman has validated all of President Trump's claims regarding the Panama breach of canal treaty, China's current control over the canal, and emphasized the critical need for U.S. intervention. And this is, when Trump first came out and said he was going to take the Panama Canal, I kind of giggled. Same reason why when he said he was going to take Greenland or Canada, I kind of giggled. But there really seems to be more and more to this. And if, again, my intelligence is correct, which says China's the big fight, this would make absolute perfect sense. Governor Greg Abbott of Texas announced a criminal probe into the Epic City. You guys know in East Plano, Texas, there's a big Islamic center being built down there. And apparently it kind of blindsided everybody, but its own schools, its own everything. And imagine it's happening in Texas, which really surprises me. But anyway, according to conflict expert, the U.S. is in the early stages of civil war in a period defined as incipient insurgency. The least you've got right now is in the low tens of millions of people who are actively preparing to murder their countrymen. And you were seeing lots and lots of, reports coming out about these things. And again, our country's not in good shape. There is some good news, right? The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, officially classified Adam Schiff and John Brennan as domestic enemies of the United States. Again, we talked about jobs are up 228,000, which was above the 100,000 estimate. The World Economic Forum kingpin Klaus Schwab has informed that he will resign from the World Economic Forum, which is gigantic, right? What else? Florida passes legislation to ban geoengineering and weather modification. Oh. Arkansas has officially made ivermectin an over-the-counter medication.
Oh, wow.
The state of Mississippi has eliminated income tax. Quoted, our people should be rewarded for their hard work, not punished. And Trump says this would be a perfect time for the Fed Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. He's always late, but he could now change his image and quickly. Energy prices are down, interest rates are down, inflation is down, even eggs are down 69%, and jobs are up all within 2 months. This is a good point, but this is I don't think this is all going to happen because the Fed Chair Jerome Powell is not keen to the Trump administration. So they're going to play politics right here, right? And so because they play politics, the best thing to do would be to lower interest rates. If I had control of it, I'd be lowering interest rates right now because it would stave off a lot of this pain and buy us a little bit of time. But I don't think they will. But all of this to me,
because they have to rip the Band-Aid off. So if they lower the interest rate, then they're prolonging it.
Yep. Much divide in our country, and then for all the good things we just talked about, there's others. If you guys notice those Republicans that voted with the Democrats to go home after only one day of work, the House will not be meeting the rest of this week. Voting by proxy is unconstitutional. And if you want to change that, then make the proper changes via the Constitution. So basically, the Republicans and the Democrats got together, said their one day of work was enough, and they'd get back to work at a later date and went home for the week. DNC Chair Ken Martin just announced the Democrats are forming a shadow cabinet to oppose Trump, calling it the People's Cabinet. So now you're going to have two totally separate governments trying to run at the same time and combating each other, right? How is that going to work, right? G. John says prior administration must have thought no action was best to start a war. Inaction on TikTok, Panama Canal, Taiwan, China global purchase at strategic locations, balloons, etc. Yeah, I don't know why we didn't do more about the balloons. I would have. So Agustin Carstens, which is, he originally was the governor of Mexico and then goes on and works for committees of prosperity and blah, 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 blah. He had an interesting quote that said, in cash, we don't know who's using the $100 bill. We don't know who's using the 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with CBDC is that the central bank will have absolute control and we will have the technology to enforce that. Again, the deep state's pushing on one side, right, versus the other side. Texas, of all places, passes a resolution declaring March 23rd as Pakistan Day. Yes, this is real. We now have an official Pakistan Day in America. You guys remember that plane that crashed in Minnesota last week? I don't know if it's a coincidence or whatever it is, but U.S. bank officials, it's their vice chairman of U.S. Bank Corp, Dolan, was the guy who was on the plane. Oh. It'll be interesting to see what comes out, what he was all into. Who knows, right? I found this was cool too. See those two pictures? This is Trump in the exact same speech. You notice anything different? This is Fox News. This is CNN. CNN turned him orange. Did you see this on the news?
Huh.
Yeah, CNN has their orange filter on Trump. Bad orange man bad, right? Whatever.
I do remember all that.
Yeah, this was just the other day. And in a move that I applaud, by the way, and I may actually make some girls mad, but saying that I applaud this, the Department of Defense announces real equality. The Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, has announced equalization in combat standards. So if you're going to go to combat and you're going to serve in combat, the standards are exactly the same for men and for women. How do you feel about that?
I think it'll be more difficult.
I think war is hell, and you should have the best of the best on the front lines. That's what I think. Whether that's the smartest, the strongest, whatever those standards are, they should have played, right? So same ruck distance and weight. That's what they're saying, instigator.
That's what I remember when our niece went in, and she had like 2 minutes to run hers, and the guys had like 120 or something.
Yeah, I don't.
1 minute 20. Remember that? And she was like,
you're probably thinking like a 2-minute mile where they had 20 minutes and the men had 15 minutes or something. There's nothing they do in 2 minutes except push-ups, and maybe that was push-ups and setups. When I was in, you had a 2-minute test on push-ups, a 2-minute test on
maybe it was 2-minute
sit-ups,
miles,
and then you had a 2-mile run. Not 2 minute. There's no one in history who's ever run a 2-minute mile. I think the record of a mile is in the 3s, probably, maybe 4 minutes. Anyway, but let me see here. I am a woman. I absolutely agree with Pete Hegseth. I do too. I think we're talking about combat, right? Belt of 50 cal weighs the same regardless of who's carrying it. Yep, couldn't agree more. Yep, Jen agrees too. All right, look at that. 2 hours, 58 seconds, and I got through them all. No, I didn't. Just kidding.
You're just speed talking.
Yeah, I got a little more. I got the blank slide. That's okay. I want to cover these anyway. We might run a little late.
Got the blank slide.
Yeah, so I read an interesting article, and I just cut it and pasted it in here, and I thought I would talk to you. And they were talking about the 10 things that are causing the fall of America. And I found it a real interesting because they weren't talking about economics. They weren't really talking about those things. So I thought I would get your guys' opinion on if you agree. Number one was the rise of body positivity has twisted the concept of self-acceptance into glorifying unhealthy lifestyles. Obesity, once recognized as a serious health risk, is now celebrated as an alternative version to health, all under the guise of promoting self-love. This dangerous narrative not only normalizes life-threatening conditions, but discourages individuals from taking responsibility for their own health, ultimately benefiting industries that profit from the illness, such as big pharma and the processed food sector. You agree with that?
Yeah.
The destruction of gender roles. What's started as a movement for equal rights has now become a divisive force, tearing apart families and relationships. Feminism has pushed the narrative that the traditional gender roles are oppressive, undermining the value of motherhood and homemaking and demonizing masculinity. The cultural shift has led to broken homes, emasculated men and women chasing careers at the expense of family, causing a societal imbalance that's left children without role models and genuine connections. And it's also caused our birth rate to be down to a level that won't sustain itself anymore. You agree with that? Maybe? The death of masculinity. Men have been conditioned to suppress their natural instincts, becoming passive and compliant rather than strong and assertive. Masculinity is now labeled as toxic, discouraging men from embracing their roles as leaders, protectors, and providers. This war on masculinity has created a generation of lost boys and absent fathers, leading to a lack of direction and purpose in many men's lives, weakening the foundation of Western society. What do you think of that one?
Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Divide by design. This is a big one to me. Identity politics have replaced unity and common goals with divisiveness and victimhood, encouraging people to view themselves as oppressed based on race, gender, and sexuality. This narrative creates endless divisions, making it impossible to address real societal issues. Instead of finding solutions, identity politics have led to the constant infighting and polarization, ensuring that people remain distracted while the true power structures go unchallenged. What do you think of that? See, I think this is a big one. Instead of coming together for a cause, we get into this identity politics of Republican versus Democrat. And, I watched tons and tons of videos of them walking up to both sides and asking them about the issues, and they don't know. They're just Democrat, Republican. I find those two. Should we get a couple comments in real quick? Here, Jen says, keep man manly, please. Scott says, the world is crazy. We all should be praying that World War III doesn't happen. The loss of life would be catastrophic. Get prepared. Love hard. I love that. Love hard. Give endless grace to people that need it. He goes on to say, get independent, water, grow food, and become energy independent. May God bless you all. I love that. And G. John says, Elon had an interview this week. Low birth rates are a threat to humanity. And I think this clearly points out why, right? Hypersexualization was item number 5. The West is drowning in hypersexualization with pornography and casual sex being normalized. This has led to the distorted views of relationships, intimacy, and love, weakening the bonds that create strong, healthy families. In the West, porn addiction has stripped countless individuals of the ability to form authentic relationships, creating a generation that's emotionally numb, disconnected, and unable to experience true intimacy. This cycle perpetuates isolation, fueling society's descent into loneliness and despair. And interesting, I found a graph that young adults turning away of the, sorry, wrong one. I'll quote on this in just a minute. Wrong one. The war on faith, organized religion in the West has been demonized, with secularism and atheism elevated as the only enlightened worldviews. This attack on faith has left society without a moral compass, allowing materialism and hedonism to take root as a guiding principle. As traditional values crumble, people turn to empty pursuits for fulfillment, leaving them spiritually adrift and easier to manipulate. This erosion of faith has paved the way for an increasingly soulless and controlled society where the pursuit of power and pleasure eclipses deeper meaning and purpose. Number 7, the suburban trap. Isolation and dependency. In the West, the post-war suburban boom promised an ideal lifestyle, but led to widespread isolation and dependency. Instead of fostering community, suburban sprawl disconnected families, forcing I don't understand that. Car dependent and solitary lives, rather than promoting social cohesion. This model has left Westerners isolated, reliant on consumer goods, and tied to long commutes, eroding the sense of community and weakening the social bonds. That was
like car sharing.
Yeah.
You don't have a car, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You just
I found this graph, which I found interesting. Do you know that 96% of kids between 12 and 15 have a cell phone? 61% of kids between 8 and 11 have a cell phone.
I believe it.
Crazy to me.
Age, is that 3 to 4?
What's that? Yeah, it's 27% of kids.
More than 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So more 3 to 4 year olds have
5 to 7. Yeah, Crunchy Mama Farm says, leaving the suburbs is the best thing we ever did. Hey, Bill and Fallon, how are you? Says it depends on the MOS and unit in which they pursue. Yeah, I think it depends on whether or not you've got bullets flying at you or not. That's what I think. Moving on to number 8. In the West, education has shifted from teaching critical thinking to pursuing ideological agendas. Schools and universities now act as indoctrination centers, filling young minds with woke narratives rather than fostering independent thought. This includes pushing children into questioning their gender identity and promoting other radical ideologies, ensuring future generations are easier to manipulate and control. This deliberate shift ensures the masses never challenge the system of power and keep them subjugated. The digital brothel in disguise. In the West, OnlyFans is hailed as a female empowerment, but it's a reflection of deeper societal decay. Women are monetizing their bodies under the illusion of independence, falling into the trap of exploitation marketed as freedom. This trend reinforces the West's hypersexualization, reducing women's worth to appearance over intellect and skill. It's a digital age exploitation that erodes self-respect and dignity in Western society. It's estimated that over 500,000 women in the United States between 18 and 24 are content creators on OnlyFans.
Wow.
Crazy, huh?
That's a lot.
Yep. And number 10, declining birth rates and the destruction of the nuclear family. Western societies are facing a demographic crisis as birth rates plummet. This trend is a direct result of societal pressures that discourage family formation, with career ambitions and personal freedom prioritized over parenthood. The destruction of the nuclear family has left children without stable homes and role models, contributing to the rise of mental health issues, delinquency, and hopelessness. Yeah. G. John says people are becoming slaves to their idols. How did idolatry?
Idolatry.
I'm aware, but apparently we're both tired.
Artery.
Hitting the target so far. Yep. Let me see here. This one, number 6, I had a hard time raising my sons. The school system actively competing to remove God. Yeah. So what do you guys think of that? The last graph real quick. So I say that is the birth rates of the number of children people are having. The orange top line is China. You guys probably can't see it. The blue line is the United States.
Oh, wow.
And the yellow line is China.
Japan.
Japan. And so if you get under about this mark, they probably can't see my mouse.
What is that, like 3?
No. So if 2 people have 2 kids, it's as if no net gain, right? You got to be having over 2 kids, right? Which is all the way up here. So.
And none of them are.
Be fruitful, multiply isn't a thing anymore. Too many unfruitful people. That's a t-shirt. Right?
Don't be unfruitful.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Oh, now you got a black screen.
Well, we'll just have to fix that, won't we? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Mo, I'll send it to you. So, guys, our world's a mess. And we have super fundamental problems. You know, the last list I read it because I think it really does a good job at getting at the beginning list, right? The problem isn't, necessarily Russia and China. It's just the decay of everything. And then this is just where we end up getting, right? Through it all. And until we fix some of them fundamental flaws, the flaw in masculinity, saying that it's toxic, the silliest argument I've ever heard. People telling girls that they can do anything a boy can do is a lie. Because the fact is, boys can't do what girls can do. We're not the same and we're not equal. Never will be, and I think it's just continually eroded, and I think we're in a bad place. I don't see how it gets any better anytime soon. So I guess, we're just going to obviously just have to, keep plugging, but it's 2 hours and 11 minutes. Sorry, I took a little bit long, but you want to leave us out of here with some super smart thought?
My closing was going to be don't get distracted and all the,
that's a good one.
And all the stuff that you just talked about.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a lot of it's designed to be a distraction.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right. I mean, that's why we have reality TV and the Kardashians and all of these things that go on. And, as Bobby Spagg says, turn off your TV and plant a tomato. And I think that's what we need to do. I think that there's no telling what spark's going to light this thing, but there's a whole bunch of tinder out there.
Whimper.
There's a whole bunch of kindling out there. And we've got to be prepared. So don't let the interpersonal things get you. Don't let the critic get you. There's always a critic going to be telling you you're doing it wrong. There's always someone who's going to doubt why you're doing it, all of those things. Stay true to what you know is right. Right. And just hold that line. Keep doing it every single day. And you'll come out of this better in the end, because I promise you, the one thing that will survive all of this, the best, is independence, sustainability, self-reliance, eliminating the stroke. If you can fight those battles, you'll withstand a long, long time. We love you guys, and we will see you in a week. Be
out.
Tag out. Good night, everybody.